So apparently, Iran has just launched missiles at Israel. I'm not sure of how much damage they did, so this is going to be my first time seeing this video to see exactly what happened and see if we can get some more insight as to what went on.
26, and the breaking news tonight is that 10 ballistic missiles came off the rails from Iran launched towards Israel tonight, but it looks like they came up completely empty-handed with interceptor missiles smoking all of those Iranian missiles. Obviously, civilians hiding across Israel, but it looks like no structural hits at this point. 10 of Iran's best missiles aimed at Israel, and the only thing that basically landed at this point was noise and a lot of rhetoric, as they do. So this is the first time that Iran has thrown ballistic missiles directly at Israel since the April truce, and it lands on day 100 of a war that opened up in February when Iran's military was essentially decimated. So are we seeing frustration here? Are we seeing the writing on the wall? The Iranian regime is just going to keep doing this? Well, the president of the United States, President Trump, is trying to de-escalate. He said the Iranian strikes didn't hurt anybody. So obviously Iran isn't doing nothing. They're basically doing the things that they did before, just on a lesser scale, because their ballistic missile inventory has been completely decimated as well.
This is what I'm talking about. Can we take them at their word that it's going to ever be a ceasefire, that they're really not going to do something with the uranium that they have? As you can see, they just it seems like their leadership has no control over them. It seems like they just do whatever they want to when they feel like it. So I don't know if that's somebody you can actually negotiate with. But
their ability to produce those ballistic missiles, but obviously at this point Iran is going to do what they do best. And then I've got a little global roundup section for you as well. We're going to hit on what's been going on with some Ukrainian drones reaching 1,000 kilometers, basically reaching Putin's own backyard. So we're going to talk about that, so stay around for that. But first, the ballistic missiles, interceptors, the platforms, and all the 4D chess that's going on underneath of it. So Iran emptied the magazine at northern Israel, and the scoreboard still reads 0. It's like, hey, nice try, Iran. Do you feel better? Are you happy now? So even President Trump kind of shrugged this one off. So it's not really a barrage. This is like a, hey, save the date. We might attack stronger later. But it's kind of like them sending a firm memo at this point, with the capability of Israel's Iron Dome to strike these things down is just incredible. But let's get into exactly what is happening right now in this conflict. So earlier today, Israeli aircraft struck Hezbollah command targets in the southern suburbs of Beirut. Lebanese sources reported 2 people were hit, 11 were wounded. Benjamin Netanyahu said the group is in retreat as the IDF presses its offensive in the south. Tehran had spent weeks warning that strikes on Hezbollah in Lebanon would draw a response. And so tonight was just them basically making good, saying like, look, we can have a response. Remember, we can respond still. Roughly 10 ballistic missiles launched at northern Israel. Israel's layered air defenses engaged the inbound barrage. Sirens tripped across the north part of Israel. Interceptors did their work. They did what they do best. And the after-action report from every direction read the exact same. No injuries, no meaningful damage as of this point right now, as of this video being produced. An Israeli official had promised a forceful response, and the IDF chief of staff said Israel will answer the moment the green light is given. The green light right now looks like it's being held, though, from Washington, from President Trump at this point. President Trump was very blunt. He said, I'm going to call Bibi and tell him not to retaliate, because each of them had their fun. Israel had its strike and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one. He also made it clear that he wasn't pleased with the Beirut strike that kicked this all off. He said it was not coordinated with the United States and warned that Iranian missile fire is certainly not going to help negotiations, obviously. So the translation here, everybody is being told to put down their toys because there's a deal on the table potentially being inked here in the next few days. And now let's go to X, because what the US military did basically in response to this is pretty genius. The US military is like, oh, cool, you're gonna launch ballistic missiles at Israel, Iran, no worries. We're basically still here waiting for our own green light as well. So here we are on CENTCOM's X page. So we know Iran has ticked things up again, as they do. Zebra can't change its stripes. But as a response, we've got a CENTCOM video potentially showing what could be at the tip of the spear should the U.S. military just absolutely remove the gloves on Iran. So let's check it out. We know that Iran started launching those ballistic missiles again at Israel, like we just talked about. So let's check out this banger of a video. Here we go.
Every success that we have starts and ends with our people.
Looks like an MH-60 helicopter. Ooh, F-18F. That one looks like, so it's a two-seater. Looks like it's loaded down with gas. This might be a refueling mission this thing's going on, but check this out. It's still carrying the AIM-9X. So it still has the ability to carry the AIM-9X. And then the two aviators here both have JHMCs, joint helmet mounted queuing systems. So this isn't just a tanker. It's a tanker that can do some pretty sweet party tricks at the end of the day. F-35, so stepping back here just real quick. Little glimpse of the F-35 rolling in. We don't see any land in sight, so who knows? Potentially somewhere over the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, some area close by where this thing can do a lot of hunting. F-18s again, and then a freeze frame there on that beautiful F-35. What a great looking jet.
Do we have some toys or what? I mean, America, well, we are loaded, bro. Why would you want smoke with us? Why? I don't understand. This is just a glimpse of what we can. Why? Like,
just such a capable aircraft. I mean, very stealthy. You can see the skin of this thing, the reflections on it just shows the stealth.
Beautiful.
Nice. I like it. It's like we got fighter jets and we got shotguns. So basically covering the entire weapon spectrum at this point. Okay, I want to shoot that gun. Anybody else? I mean, I wouldn't want to be in the business end of that gun. So this is something that could even go up against Iranian fast attack boats. If some of them get through, shooting down drones, so many options here to strike down the different proxy type warfare elements of Iran. Right together. Beautiful F-35 shot. So I love this hype video because it's showing all the different platforms. Looks like this one's on the edge of a tanker's wing, just looking good. Yeah, and boarding these different ships, taking control. Wouldn't want to be on the business end of these ships that don't turn around at this point. We know Hellfires have gone through the different engine rooms. We know the 20mm gun, the 5-inch gun has gone through. So whoever said 5 inches couldn't get it done hasn't seen the business end of the 5-inch gun. I like the slow zoom in, just very, very telling. Like, yeah, just a slow zoom in. That's kind of, maybe that's what's happening in Iran right now, is a slow zoom in. Okay, it looks like Iran is entering a major FAFO mode. This is Eric Dougherty on X showing some of these missiles that have been fired at Israel. The reports I'm seeing are that all of these have actually been intercepted and struck down. So that is good. Let's see what Iran is saying at this point. Okay, he's basically saying, I'm not going to work here anymore. But it sounds like statements from the operational headquarters of the Islamic Republic of Iran Armed Forces following tonight's Iranian ballistic missile attack against northern Israel. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, the Zionist aggressor regime, blah, 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 by repeatedly violating the ceasefire, has been increasing its evils against the oppressed peoples of Lebanon day by day with the green light and support of the criminal America and the silence of the international community, and has been committing war crimes. I don't think the international community has been silenced. I mean, you guys have co-opted quite a bit of corporate media to make it look like the IRGC is these magnanimous guys. Yeah, just have them over to your next Christmas party. Have them date your sister. I'm sure that would go really well. And then it says its child Zionist regime has crossed all red lines and intensified attacks in southern Lebanon, targeting the Beirut suburbs. We had previously decided that if the crime in the Beirut suburbs expands, we will bombard targets in the occupied territories. The Zionist army must stop its attacks on southern Lebanon and the suburbs. And if it expands its attacks on that region or responds to Iran's actions, it will face more crushing and regrettable blows and destructive attacks will begin against the regime and its supporters, and there is no victory except from Allah, the mighty and wise. So again, this is just how the regime is going to act, right? They're going to respond, they're going to poke the bear. Looks like President Trump, after Iranian strikes on Israel, said, "You've shot your missiles, that's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal." Interesting. So kind of showing that President Trump is very focused on making a deal happen at this point. So Fox News is reporting on this. Trump is not happy about Israel striking Hezbollah again as well. He is calling on Iran to stop firing and get back to the negotiating table. So very interesting. And then President Trump also said that Israel better not strike back against Iran or the peace deal is screwed. He tells Axios if Bibi strikes them back, it's just going to keep going like the last 47 years or the last 3,000 years. The Iranian strikes didn't hurt anybody. Hopefully, Israel is not going to retaliate. We're very close to a final deal with Iran. It's going to be a good deal. I don't want it to blow up because of what's happening now. 47 is calling Netanyahu, saying don't strike. Each of them had their fun. Israel had its strike and Iran had its strike. We don't need.
Hope this deal says that they cannot have any uranium. They want to keep that so bad. Like they really have plans for that. Like it's something that's not. It just doesn't sit well with me. I mean, they said it was at 60%. Of course, 90% is what makes it nuclear grade uranium. So, and it only takes 3 weeks to make it go from 60 to 90. So we don't know what they have been doing in these bunkers. All we do know is that they have not wanted to make a deal for nothing. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to make. Did you just see all those planes and everything that we have? Why wouldn't you want to make a deal? I understand you don't care about your people. I understand you want all the say so when it comes to Hormuz and the Strait. I get it, but this is a no-win. Like the way we're choking them for money. I mean, we have taken almost everything from them. Why are they not making a deal? And why are they so set on keeping this uranium? I just don't trust it, man. And I don't trust their leadership anyhow. It doesn't seem like they're communicating at all. It seems like you just have a bunch of different pockets of guys fighting, and they don't look like a well-oiled regime. Like it just doesn't look like. I don't know if a deal can be made. I just don't know if a deal can be made.
Another one. 47 told Fox he was days away from a deal, but it now may be in jeopardy. You have been firing your missiles. Come back to the negotiating table. And then Iran, as they do, remember, know your enemy, know yourself, like my boy Sun Tzu says, Speaker of Iran's parliament. He was just re-elected for a 7th straight year. Former IRGC commander elected. Can we really call it elections in Iran at this point? They basically are at the voting booth and there's just a guy with a revolver to their head and they're like, okay, go ahead and make your choice. This is completely unbiased. These elections are completely good to go. But he was a former mayor of Tehran, former national police chief. With the old supreme leader gone, Kalibaf has become the load-bearing wall of the regime is what it looks like to me. The bridge between the clerics, the guard, and what's left of the political class. Like who actually wants to be in leadership in Iran at this point? It's the hardliners. It's the guys that have the most hardline perspective. And he's kind of like a protege of the man who's now sitting in the supreme leader's chair, Majabta Khamenei. But here's what makes him dangerous and useful at the same time. So back in April, Kalibaf was the one who warned that continued Israeli strikes on Hezbollah and Lebanon would bring explicit costs and strong responses. So tonight's barrage is him cashing that check, basically. He's the voice of defiance, the one vowing revenge for the February attack. And here's the single crack the U.S. drives a truck through. That same man, the loudest hawk in Tehran, is also probably the back channel Washington has been quietly talking to about ending the war. The president says Iran is down to roughly 22% of its missile arsenal. So when Kalibaf signs off on launching 10 missiles that hit nothing, that isn't strength talking. That's a man who's basically rationing his last rounds while taking calls from the other side. side trying to end the war as well while not looking weak. That's the whole thing here, is perception. And that brings us to the hardware that made those 10 missiles irrelevant and could be used in the Persian Gulf again. Stopping a ballistic missile can be a bit of a relay race, like, you know, when they pass that baton and then they start sprinting. So tonight, the baton was passed extremely well and with extreme efficiency, because it starts with space-based and ground radars catching the launch plume the second those missiles clear Iranian soil. Track data handed off in seconds. Again, that's that baton being handed off against ballistic threats bearing down on the north part of Israel. The top layer is the exo-atmospheric interceptor reaching out to meet the warhead above the atmosphere, with the mid and lower tier systems backstopping anything that leaks through. 10 launched, 10 handled. Again, seeing those plumes as soon as they light off, that's incredible space-based technology. Now you layer in an American piece, because the fight is not only over Israel at this point. Out in the Gulf, U.S. Central Command has been running its own defense. Over the last several days, CENTCOM forces took down Iranian one-way attack drones threatening the Strait of Hormuz shipping, then put ordnance on the Iranian coastal radar sites that were feeding those launchers the information. So the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, carrier air power, kind of doing what's basically the unglamorous work at this point of trying to get the Strait of Hormuz open, or at least blockading Iran's ships from going in and out of the ports and strangling off the mullahs from getting their bank accounts flooded with cash, typically from oil that they're selling to China. So Iran has to be perfect to score once. They have to try to get through that missile defense system with one of their missiles, which is why they launched 10. So the defenses only have to keep doing what they've been doing every single night for the last 100 days, basically. Be ready, be prepared, because this could happen at any time. And then CENTCOM makes sure that those missiles stay one way by piping information, satellite data, using the Aegis system to help track and detect those different launches, and then noting exactly where those launch. And then I actually saw this today on Kagan Dunlap's Instagram page, where he's showing one of the different missile sites that had been hit, and Iran is clearly trying to move some of the debris out of the way, potentially rebuilding and reusing those.
Look at that. Wow. Do you see the structure, like how that is built? I mean, that took some work. Like, that took some work to build. Like, it amazes me how prepared they were for this battle. For who they are and what they have. They had to put years of planning into this. Like, I mean, that's a big bunker. Do you see how small these people are? Like, they put some work into this, man. These people.
Different military bunkers, but it's kind of like, does lightning strike twice? Does the F-35 lightning strike twice? I mean, you can see that there's big holes in those bunkers, and they're like, yeah, we're going to reuse these things. And then the global roundup section, I want to talk about Ukrainian long-range drones. Those have just been tracked to fly more than 1,000 kilometers and set a St. Petersburg oil terminal ablaze, one of Russia's largest fuel transshipment hubs, timed to the exact morning that Putin opened his showcase economic forum in his own hometown. So Kyiv's new Deep Strike Center says its 2026 campaign has now wrecked well over 170 Russian air defense systems worth billions of dollars. So from my seat where I'm looking, that's the whole game. You don't dogfight the air defenses, you reach past it and you burn what it's there to protect, to basically give the big middle finger to Putin. That brings us to the 40 chess strategic analysis section here. So forget the revenge rhetoric that's coming out of Iran. Tonight's 10 missiles were never meant to level a city. They were meant to be seen launching and seen failing in a way Tehran can sell at home as we responded and we basically saved face with this volley of weapons. The real Iranian objective is the negotiating table still, and specifically getting its frozen funds unlocked. You don't fire these missiles to actually hit targets. You know they're going to be intercepted. You do it to try to maybe get some leverage at the bargaining table. But at this point, the US leverage here is total and quiet. So President Trump is the one holding Israel's green light, the one saying the deal is days away from being signed, and the one publicly noting that Iran is down to a fifth of its entire arsenal. So it looks like President Trump is staying calm, cool, collected, walking softly and carrying a big stick and hoping to get this negotiation done.
Hey guys, please check this guy's channel out. He is great. Like, as you can see, he's on top of it. I think it's Max Afterburner or Max something. But I definitely have subscribed to his channel. I don't ever want to do a reaction to somebody's stuff without giving them their just due. Man, bravo.